This is how you play the 1, 4, 5, 7, 1 primary triad chord progression in C major and C harmonic minor, hands together. We're going to start with C major. So for the 1 chord, you're going to need the first note, the third note, and the fifth note of the scale. So C, E, and G. And play that 1 chord. And it's the C major chord. To get to the 4-6-4 chord, keep your bottom note the same, and you're going to move the top 2 notes up to the next scale degree. So the middle note moves up a half step, and the top note moves up a whole step. So you end up with C, F, A, and you may notice my 4 and 5 in my right hand are a little bit stretched out, so I'm going to replace 4 my 3 finger. And so this is the F major chord with C on the bottom. Play that chord for me. Go back to your 1. Go back to your 4-6-4. F major. To get to our 5-6-5, we're going to keep our middle note the same, and we're going to take our bottom note and our top note, so our outside notes in each hand, and move them down to the next scale degree. So your bottom note goes down a half step, and your top note goes down a whole step back to where it was. And you'll notice that in my right hand, my fingers are just kind of stretched out a little bit more than they need to be. So I'm going to replace 3 and 4 with 4 and 5. And this is the G7 chord. You should have B, F, and G. Again, the G7 chord, and play that 5-6-5. Keeping that middle note, shifting right hand fingers, go back to your 4-6-4. And go back to your 5-6-5. Remember to shift right hand fingers. And then we just go back to 1. Let's practice that a few ways. The first way, let's say how our notes are going to move. We're not going to mention the ones that stay the same. 1, 2, 3, 1 chord. Top 2 move up. Outside move down. Back to 1. This time, we're going to say the chord names. So for the 1 chord, it's C major. For the 4 chord, it's F major because 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4th note is F. And for the 5-6-5, we're going to say G7 because the 5th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is G. And what makes it a 7 is that note right there. Because if we were to turn them around, G up to F, that's a 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then back to 1, C major. 1, 2, saying our chord names. C major, F major, G7, C major. Alright. And for the final thing that we're going to practice this to, let's say our Roman numerals. So for 1, I'm just saying 1. Because the 1 is on the bottom, the first note of the scale, I mean. For 4, since the 4th note of the scale is in the middle, and from the bottom note there's a 6th and a 4th, I'm going to call this 4-6-4. When we go to our 5-7 chord, since our 5 is on top, and from the bottom we have an interval of a 6th, and an interval of a 5th. I'm going to call this 5-6-5, and then back to 1. So those extra numbers just come from the intervals that are in the chords, since we're playing them in a different way. 1, 2, saying our Roman numerals. 1, 4-6-4, 5-6-5, 1. And now let's see how exam ready we are by playing with the metronome. Since this is holding each one for 2, let me change this to 4/4. 1, 2, ready. Use your wrists. Now we're going to switch to C harmonic minor because it's very similar. For our 1 chord, instead of using 3 on the white key, we're going to lower it a half step, because from C major to C harmonic minor, we take our 3rd note, E, and lower it a half step to E flat, which affects our 1 chord. So play your 1 chord now in minor. C, E flat, and G, so that's C minor. Now we're going to go to our 4/6/4 chord. So bottom note stays the same, top 2 move up to the next note in the scale. But remember, in harmonic minor, we take the 6th note from major, 4, 5, 6, A, and lower it a half step, which is going to affect our 4 chord. So when we move these top 2 notes up, middle note goes up a whole step, top note goes up a half step. And so that your right hand doesn't get crowded, make sure you're using a 3 in the middle. And you should have C, F, A flat, and that's the F minor chord. Go back to your 1, and go back to your minor 4. To get to our 5/6/5, it's going to be the exact same thing that we did in major. Keep your middle note, outside notes in each hand move down. So bottom note moves down a half step, top note moves down a half step back where it was. And now right hand's a little crowded, so I'm going to replace my 3 finger with my 4 finger. And you should have B, F, G. It's the exact same 5/6/5 as major. And play that 5/6/5. And then go back to 1. And make sure you're using your wrists for each chord. Let's practice this by saying our moves. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, top 2 move up, outside move down, back to 1. Now let's say our chord names. 1, 2, ready, go. C minor, F minor, G7, C minor. And finally, let's say our Roman numerals. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 4, 6, 4, 5, 6, 5, 1. And now let's see how exam ready we are. Hold each one for 2 and use your wrists. 1, 2, ready, go.